Et salut à tous, on se retrouve pour ce nouvel épisode, cette nouvelle série sur The Stanley Parable, un jeu que Epic Games a rendu gratuit aujourd'hui et dont je vais m'empresser de découvrir, je connais le jeu mais je voulais le faire en vidéo. Voilà tout, du coup je pense qu'on va commencer, vous allez vite comprendre le principe si vous ne connaissez pas le jeu. On va juste, pour voir, on va baisser un peu l'audio, même s'il est assez important. Voilà, ça devrait aller je pense. Sous-titres, on va mettre... Voilà, on va mettre tout ça. Et les sous-titres en français. Voilà, voilà. Ah, faut restart le jeu. Bon, ça devrait aller, normalement. Normalement, ça devrait aller. Je vais essayer de faire un épisode court. Peut-être 20 à 30 minutes, ou 20 minutes, je pense. On va faire un petit 20 minutes. Juste pour découvrir le jeu, et après je continuerai. On va lancer le chrono, et c'est parti. Allons-y. Ça, c'est ma porte maléfique.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ah, bon, je pense que les contrôles ça va être comme ça, on va faire avec. Allons-y. Spécial. Ça s'ouvre
All of
pas.
his co-workers were
Non
gone.
plus.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Non.
Stanley went around. Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his
Bon, il commence à
environment.
m'insulter. Ah ah.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Si je prends celle de droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ouais.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
On va suivre
And
un
so
petit
he
peu.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ouais, mais il y a un gros bouton rouge. Bon. Ouais. Si je vais par là?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Non, attendez, ça m'intrigue. Ah ah!
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any
Là, un petit bug. Voilà.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ouais. On va voir qu'est-ce qui se passe quand je me trompe. Voilà.
Stanley jumped, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Pas ici. Rien du tout. Ah, Loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
continuerai la suite plus tard. Bon, vous savez quoi, on va rester ici. En attendant, je reprendrai le jeu un peu plus tard. À plus.